There's a reason it can feel like there isn't enough joy in our lives, and it's generally not because there isn't enough joy in our lives. It's because of something that most of us have been quietly conditioned to do without even noticing it. And once you see it, you can't fully unsee it, but also seeing is just the beginning. The rest is what you choose to do with it. So I want to show you something I've been watching for years in the people I love, in strangers in coffee shops, in myself before I knew any better. Most of us just drink down a moment of joy in the way most people drink down a Starbucks. Fast, done, on to the next thing. And then we wonder why we still maybe feel a little blah about life. But there's another way. It doesn't require more time, more money, or a different life, though you might be deciding that you want a different life. All this requires is about 90 more seconds of your attention than you're currently giving the small good things. And the difference it makes in your nervous system and what you carry into the next room that you walk into is not small. I'm Jessica, psychotherapist for 25 years, but for the last 8, I've been walking through a pretty big life reinvention. 8 years ago, I found myself unwilling to just keep living the status quo of my pretty good life, and I started following an inner truth that shook things up a lot. You might be aware of that inner truth in yourself right now, trying to shake things up and stuck in the questioning of it. And what I want to share with you today is just one simple practice that connects us with that truth and with our own inner aliveness. Okay, so picture this. I'm sipping bubble tea. If you don't know what bubble tea is, it's a tea drink that originated in Taiwan, usually milky and sweet with these soft tapioca pearls at the bottom that you just suck up through a fat straw. The pearls are chewy, they're delightful, they're delicious, and I always call them like a little party in a cup. And I'm sitting with this bubble tea and I'm taking it slowly. I mean, slowly. And I'm tasting the tea. I'm noticing the temperature. I'm chewing the pearls one or two at a time, and I'm feeling the texture of them. I'm aware of the cup in my hand. I'm aware of the light in the room. I'm aware that this small, ordinary moment of joy is happening and I'm in it. And meanwhile, a sweet loved one who is there with me has finished their bubble tea in 8 minutes flat, just gone, sucked down with no real awareness of the joy they just held in their hand. And it's not about judging them. I used to do the same thing and sometimes still do, but now more often than not, I'll sit with mine for an hour, sometimes two. And I've come to understand something about that hour that I want to share here. The person who finished hers in 8 minutes had 8 minutes of joy. I had 2 hours of joy. And that's not a small thing in our lives where there can be so many stressors. It's a life altering math problem if you let it be. And so here's what's actually happening underneath the bubble tea. The first time I learned this practice was about 25 years ago in graduate school. It was a single raisin. You may have heard of this exercise. John Kabat-Zinn made it famous through mindfulness-based stress reduction, and it's now a part of how mindfulness gets taught all over the world. You hold one raisin in your fingers, you look at it like you've never seen a raisin before, you smell it, you roll it around, you put it in your mouth, and you don't chew right away, you just taste it. And I remember being skeptical, by the way. I thought it was silly. I was in grad school, I had things to do, and honestly, in the moment, the exercise really didn't seem to have any significant impact on me. I did it, I moved on, but somehow I never forgot it. And whether it was that one raisin or the class that it was a part of, or everything that comes together as you're learning to be a therapist, or me exploring deeper into mindfulness over the years, somehow that small idea of slowing down and being present to enjoy something small took root in my subconscious. And over time, I found myself practicing it more and more until eventually it became just a more consistent way of life. That was a seed. It was one of many seeds. I've been practicing some version of that for 25 years now, sometimes formally, mostly not. Mostly just slowing the bubble tea down, slowing the sip of coffee down, slowing the bite of dinner down, letting the moment have me for as long as it wants to. Obviously, this is about more than savoring treats. There's so much more beauty and magic all around us that we're missing. We can't possibly catch all of it, and that's not even the goal. But the more we pay attention to the things that are delightful and that feel good, the more positive energy we carry. The more light we are walking around with, the more of that light we bring to every person we encounter, every room we walk into, every conversation that we have. This isn't just nice. This is how we contribute to the world. The light you're holding when you walk into your kitchen, when you look at the person you love, when you greet the stranger at the register, that light started somewhere. It started in moments you let yourself fully receive the light. And when we slow down enough to do that, something else happens. The nervous system softens, the shoulders drop, the breathing deepens, and we come into the bigger picture. We become available to our own inner wisdom, whatever you like to call that: higher self, intuition, source, God, the voice underneath the noise, the voice that is always speaking to us. We're just usually moving too fast or thinking too fast to hear it. Lingering in joy is how we come home to ourselves and allow that voice to be heard. Let me give you another example because the bubble tea is just one doorway. In late winter, the sun starts coming back around the building where I live. I live in a condo, and for a few months of the year, through deep winter, the sun rises behind the building and I can't actually see it. But there's a moment in late winter when it starts peeking back out from behind the building. And I get so irrationally excited when I start to be able to see the sunrise again. So there's also a river in front of my building. And throughout the spring months, the sun migrates across the whole horizon. And by the peak of summer, it rises directly over the river, and it's so gorgeous. And then it slowly walks back the other way until it disappears behind the building again for winter. So while I can see the sunrise, I try to be up most mornings for it. And in that late winter time, as it comes back around the corner, as it rises, the beams shine directly into my bedroom window. So often I'll sit down on my floor in my bedroom where the sun is fully shining in, and I just feel it. I feel its heat. I feel the joy of spring coming in, of days getting longer, of warm weather on the way. I bask in it. I don't multitask. I don't scroll. I just sit there in that patch of light. Sometimes for just a few minutes, sometimes longer. And sometimes I do sit long enough that I'll meditate or read a book or sometimes scroll as I sit in the light. It doesn't matter what I do, just that I'm consciously aware that I'm participating in a moment of aliveness. And there's another one. When a bird lands on my balcony and seems to be looking in the window at me, I always stop. I feel the gratitude that this small, wild thing came close, that it chose even for a moment to share my energetic space. And these aren't big moments. These are not vacation moments, celebration moments. These are ordinary daily moments that if you don't slow down for them, you will miss every single one. And so here's the other thing I want to say about this. And this is a piece I'm still learning after 25 years of practicing this. And that's not to grasp at it and not to try and manufacture it. When the moment is here, you let it be fully here. And when it's leaving, you let it leave. The birds fly off, the sun moves on, the bubble tea ends. You don't try to hold it past its time. You meet joy as it actually is, not rushing it, not clinging to it. You let it linger as long as it wants to linger. And then you let it go, because if you're letting yourself be aware, then there's always the next moment of joy waiting. And that's the whole practice. If this is landing for you, I would love to know in the comments what the small thing in your life is that you most want to slow down and savor, or that you already do slow down and savor. Not the big things, the small ones. The one that's already happening that either you keep blowing past or find yourself consistently drawn to. So tell me what it is. I read every comment. And here's what I'd invite you to try. You can do this in the next 10 minutes. Pick one small thing today that you would normally consume on autopilot. The first sip of your coffee, a piece of fruit, the hot water in the shower, even better if it's a moment in nature, but something you already do that you don't have to add to your day. And when you get to it, slow down, look at it, smell it, feel it, whatever senses apply. Make it last about 3 times as long as you usually would. And that's it. You're not trying to have a spiritual experience. You're not trying to make it deep. You're just trying to be there for it. And notice afterwards what you carry into the next 10 minutes. That's the experiment. Do it for a week. See if your nervous system starts to recognize that joy is allowed to stay for a while. And it doesn't have to be big. There's an old saying you've probably heard 1,000 times, stop and smell the roses. And that's essentially what I'm pointing at. But we've heard it so many times, it's just background noise. We nod at it. We don't actually do it. The roses are right there, and we walk past them on our way to whatever's next. So this week, actually smell them, or whatever your version of the roses is. Because the thing is, most of us were never taught that joy could linger. We were taught to consume it and to move on. We were taught that the next thing was more important than this thing. And so our nervous systems learned that joy is a brief visitor and to keep going and chasing the next moment of joy. But you can teach it something different, one small, slow moment at a time. If you're here for this kind of conversation, space to expand into who you're truly designed to be, your chart as a map of how to get there, and the way it actually feels to live more spacious and alive, I'll be making videos like this and would love for you to subscribe so they show up for you. I want to leave you with the line that's truest because it's the reason any of this matters. There's so much beauty and magic around us that we cannot possibly catch all of it, but we can catch some of it. And the more of it we catch, the more light we carry. The more light we carry, the more of it we bring to everyone we meet. We need these things in our lives, and the world needs more joy and light. And that's the reason for this. If you want to keep going, YouTube is probably going to recommend something for you up in the corner here. And go ahead and watch one of those. As I make more of these, the next one will find you. And until then, I hope you meet the joy and aliveness in something small.